Can a Republican be critical of law enforcement? Let's unpack this.
I think it's very important the manner in which the officer conducts himself. If he conducts himself in a manner in which will invite the respect of the community, then he will get it.
Policing has been a very hot-button issue in recent times, with an event revolving around police brutality coming up almost monthly at this point. Law enforcement is one of the most dangerous jobs in the country. Working as an officer is about 4.1 times as dangerous compared to the average job. They have similar fatality rates to construction or maintenance workers. So let's unpack and see where people's frustration of law enforcement comes from and how we might be able to solve certain issues that this country faces. The job of law enforcement clearly is law enforcement. During the 2020 lockdowns, the people that were enforcing it and shutting down those businesses happened to be law enforcement carrying out the law and restrictions that were placed upon small businesses by the government. That is a major issue that a lot of people had during 2020, especially Republicans. So you would think that there would be some point of tension there, or frustrations with law enforcement. Currently, it is estimated that $80 billion in tax dollars go towards prisons every year. A good portion of prisoners are in for nonviolent or drug offenses. This leaves many to argue that change is necessary in government. The point of law enforcement to a lot of Americans is to protect and serve. But what if I told you in a lot of cases they are not liable if they do not take action or fail to stop a violent crime? Back in December of 2018, a judge ruled that in the case of the Parkland shooting, officers had no duty to protect the students. This is crazy. County lawsuit stated that video evidence showed that a school officer stayed outside the school while gunfire was being shot within the school. The officer on site launched a lockdown, which they also had argued that it prevented escape from the building. He was found not liable for that instance. Which brings me to this big quote that I found interesting from this New York Times article. Neither the Constitution nor the state impose a general duty upon police officers or other government officials to protect individual persons from harm, even when they know the harm will occur. Police can watch someone attack you and refuse to intervene and not violate the Constitution. The Supreme Court has repeatedly held that government has only a duty to protect persons who are in custody. So that means if you are being detained and an officer is attacking you, then you're technically in police custody. And if the officer is clearly acting against the law or violating your rights, it is a duty of another officer at the scene to stop that officer from committing that crime. Currently, there's a lawsuit open against officers responding to the Uvalde shooting. Upon entering the school, it had took them over an hour to confront the shooter. Many would argue that the law enforcement officers that were there failed to save lives. If a lifeguard fails to save a life, you can actually sue the lifeguard, but those same laws do not extend to law enforcement. In the case of Tyree Nichols, currently the officers involved in that assault are facing criminal charges as well as others that may have failed to protect him. Officers are trained professionals, civilians are not. Committing a crime isn't a death sentence by any means necessary, and that's why when I see an officer make a mistake, I do not make excuses or go to the argument of they should have just complied. Everyone is innocent until proven guilty. Saying comply or die is wrong, and in many cases, to me that's just an excuse for the law enforcement as justification for shooting an unarmed man or assaulting somebody. Yeah, fleeing or running away from an officer is bad, something I don't encourage, but clearly the law enforcement officers are the professionals and should respond properly to any scene and should have the training and know-how of how to de-escalate situations instead of escalate them. I think as a country we need to be more critical of our government and where our money is going, and we also need to be aware of why people are so frustrated with police in this country and the history of this country that has led many people, part of minority groups, to despise the police as much as they do.
We asked Deputy Inspector Hill whether civilians should be in control of the police.
Their motto is to protect and serve. but they don't protect the black cats off in the ghetto. They more or less harass them.
Don't ask me if a black cop should shoot looters. A policeman is a policeman, no matter the color. Now, whether policemen should shoot looters is the question.
To be a policeman, it takes a certain kind of person. And my own personal opinion is that they usually are brutal. They like the instant authority that comes with the badge and the uniform.
I would suspect that, as was brought out in the paper, the white cops felt that civilians didn't have the sophistication or expertise to evaluate police conduct. This is just the reason why I think I favor it. I believe in civilian control of military and police institutions. I think we tread on dangerous ground when the civilian can't control these organizations.
I think that eventually things in this country, the whole social dynamic has potential to change, but it starts with change in policy. I think ending qualified immunity would be a really good start, as well as looking into other forms of police reform, or looking into requiring more skills to be able to become a law enforcement officer. More training. I think more training would definitely help prevent situations like this and definitely make our officers much better at their jobs. So until next time, please hit the like and subscribe. I'll see you then.